Well, this performance will be followed by pupils from an institution that has been awarded the Prima Primissima Prize. The Leo Weiner Catholic School of Music and Music Secondary School has a century-long history of educating students in the Kodály method and in the pedagogical spirit of its namesake from early childhood to young adulthood.
Felnőtt korig.
His performance will be followed by pupils from an institution that has been awarded the Prima Primissima Prize. The Leo Weiner Catholic School of Music and Music Secondary School has a century-long history of educating students in the Kodály method and in the pedagogical spirit of its namesake from early childhood to young adulthood.
Az elhangzó művek Marc Antoine.
The works being performed, Marc-Antoine Charpentier Prelude to Te Deum and Edward Grieg Suite for Brass Quintet.
Marc-Antoine Charpentier Prelude to Te Deum and Edward Grieg Suite for Brass Quintet. És akik előadják, Backó Vince Nagy Sándor trombitán, Hantos György kürtön.
Performers are Vince Backó Sándor nagy trumpet, Gyula Hantos horn, Rulány István trombon, Vácsa Mira tuba.
Nagy trumpet, Gyula Hantos horn, Ruzsányi István trombon, and Mátyás Vida tuba.
Thank you. It was great in this square. Thank you, but we go on. Let me tell you some practical information.
Végeznek.
Thousands of volunteers will be on duty during the Congress. Look for our volunteers in all sectors. You will recognize them by their uniforms.
Volunteers will be on duty. Look for our volunteers in all sectors. You will recognize them by their uniform. A szektorokban találnak mosdót és egészségügyi.
In the sectors, you will find toilet facilities and first aid in the side streets and each sector. Please follow the posted sign. The program will be translated into 6 languages: Hungarian, English, German, Italian, French, and Spanish, and will be available on your radio FM frequency.
Facilities and first aid in the side streets in each sector. Please follow the posted signs. The program will be translated into 6 languages: Hungarian, English, German, Italian, French, and Spanish, and will be available on your radio.
A Nemzetközi Eucharisztikus Kongresszus
The history of the International Eucharistic Congresses dates back to the end of the 19th century. It was initiated by the worldly woman Emilia Tamizier, who, seeing the unfavorable direction of change in the world, organized pilgrimages in the spirit of the Eucharist from the early 1870s. Her initiative found support, and in 1881, the Eucharistic Congress in Lille, in the north of France, was already attended by foreigners. The event consisted of masses, prayer, and meditations, followed by a large procession.
International Eucharistic Congresses dates back to the end of the 19th century. It was initiated by a worldly woman, Emilia Tamizier, who, seeing the unfavorable direction of change in the world, organized pilgrimages in the spirit of the Eucharist from the early 1870s. Her initiative found support, and in 1881, the Eucharistic Congress in Lille, in the north of France, was already attended by foreigners. The event consisted of masses, prayer, and meditations, followed by a large procession. 140 év alatt 26 ország rendezhetett nemzeti.
Over the last 140 years, 26 countries have hosted an international Eucharistic Congress, of which only 11 have done so more than once. Hungary joined this group, and after 1938, we are again welcoming pilgrims from all over the world. Welcome to Hungary, to Budapest.
Most pedig fogadják szeretettel.
And please welcome the three heralds of NEC, Robert Szikora, rock musician, János Lackfi, poet, and Gergő Barit, singer.
Years, 26 countries have hosted an international Eucharistic Congress, of which only 11 have done so more than once. Hungary joined this group, and after 1938, we are again welcoming pilgrims from all over the world. Welcome to Hungary, to Budapest. Rövidesen Szikora Róbert hírnök és rockzenész érkezik a színpadra.
Soon we'll meet on stage Robert Szikora, rock musician, herald of the IEC. He has been going to church every day since 1990. He says that you are open to God and you pray even if you don't want to. Even non-believers sometimes say a prayer unnoticed. For them, prayer is a contact with God. It was the same with his conversion. At first, I just said, thank you. Then I said, I'm sorry. Then I said, I love you. It's all in those three things.
Soon we will meet on stage Robert Szikora, rock musician, herald of the IEC. He has been going to church every day since 1990. He says that you are open to God and you pray even if you don't want to. Even non-believers sometimes say a prayer unnoticed. For them, prayer is contact with God. It was the same with his conversion. At first, I just said, thank you. Then I said, I'm sorry. Then I said, I love you. It's all in those three things.
Szomjan halt majdnem, kitikkadt lelkem, fájt korgott hangos szemtelen. Csak egy némának látszó, poros könyv a polcomon, súgta, szeres, többé nem szomjazol. Áldom, ki megáldott, áldom, ki megáldott. A könyvlapjai csapkodtak a kerti asztalon, mint ború járt galamb pesti aszfalton. Valami végtelen fájdalom szelíden felemelt, s egy könycsepp rá magától felelt. Áldom, ki megáldott, ki megáldott. egy forró nap hősölni, egy házba betértem, a padra rogytam, s a könyv megint előttem. Nehéz tömjén illat, és oldó nyugalom, lassan menni kéne, de innen hova mondom? Igen, áldom, ki meg áldom. Dicsőség Istennek!
Lackfi
Our next herald is János Lackfi, an adult convert. He missed the obligatory church attendance as a child and became a Catholic by his own choice. A writer, poet, and literary translator, he sees literature as a field of dialogue, humor and laughter as a medicine to bring out the secretions that have been deposited. The poet is extremely productive, and often God has also a hand in his texts. He often marvels at his afterwords. From above, it is not as if I thought it would be, he says.
Is János Lackfi, an adult convert. He missed the obligatory church attendance as a child and became a Catholic by his own choice. A writer, poet, and literary translator, he sees literature as a field of dialogue, humor, and laughter as medicine to bring out the secretions that have been deposited. The poet is extremely productive, and God often has a hand in his texts. He often marvels at this afterwards. From above it, not as I thought it would be.
Dicsértes.
Laudetur. We Christians are perhaps most effective at pissing off the unbelievers with phrases like, imagine, Jesus told me that I should cook tomato pasta for dinner instead of mac and cheese. Oh, well, I watched a movie with Jesus the other day. Well, Jesus saved me from alcoholism. Hallelujah. Jesus helped me build my house. Hallelujah. The tough thing is, in the meantime, that it is really happening. It's just too much lip service that Jesus is a historical figure who lived and even died 2,000 years ago. Moreover, he is the Son of God, who must be spoken of in somewhat foreign terms with holy and unintelligible words like mercy, perseverance, redemption, transubstantiation, and the like. We see him as someone bearing a sheet, a distant and ancient person. Who would think of wanting to watch a film with Julius Caesar? Well, let's say, a gladiator? I'm sure it would be funny, although it's not on my bucket list. I mean, this experience. So we're often like the women and the disciples after Easter. They went to the tomb to look for the dead Jesus, because they believed that was reality. And then they were shocked because the tomb was empty. And at first, they couldn't deal with the living Jesus. But many times we say, let God into your life. We may or may not believe that this is possible. It's like saying, let the elephant into your matchbox, no? Or let the camel through the eye of the needle. And the amazing thing is that God is able to do so, and He does. He enters. I know it's impossible, yet God comes into my life, enters my life, and starts doing impossible things. No wonder that the reality of God is confusing the words. And of course, it also confuses us. And because we are crazy about our freedom, we think that if God comes into us, He will take away our freedom for good. But freedom is not taken away by Him. It is given by Him. And it's not the freedom what we think it is, but much more. And the seal of God's real presence in our lives is a very ordinary, almost ridiculously fragile thing, which He places entirely at our mercy of goodwill, a piece of bread, a round wafer, the host, the Eucharist. That's how close He wants to come, into my mouth, into my gullet, into my cells, into my blood, so that we really go to the movies together, breathe together, cook together. How did this adventure start in my life specifically? I was not born into a family that was... I was born into a family that wasn't religious at all, yet God was always seeking to connect with me. I knew it was Him. How did I know? I had no idea, but I was sure. I climbed at a pear tree on a property in Vörösvár, a town in Hungary, and I could see God spooning light with green leaves. I knew Jesus only from literature, more vaguely than clearly, but some inner impulse took me to the churchyard in the neighborhood as a teenager. Sometimes in the pouring rain, I would talk to the crucifix in tears. I got married at the age of 20, so everyone thought I was crazy. We were told to finish university first, so we would have a steady income. I asked him what exactly they meant. I mean, by 2 degrees in liberal arts. This month, we will be married for 30 years with 6 beautiful children and 4 grandchildren, and 2 angels who turned back before they were born. But we talk to them a lot. They send us signs and give us lots of love. In the early years of our life together, the home menu was sometimes pumpkin stew with potatoes, and the next day it was potatoes with pumpkin stew. You know, that's a different dish. We need variety. One night there was only 1 head of onion left, nothing else. My wife said she'd rather not be hungry. I was doing sports, judo training to supplement my income. And I was always hungry. The Hungarian folk song says that onions are bitter in themselves. Keserű magában. That's a romantic way of putting it, more harsh than bitter. I've been up all night because of hunger. We experienced indeed what Father Jacques Philippe said. Providence is a parachute tied behind everyone's back, but whoever doesn't open it will never notice. Of course, we did the math on the checkered paper. 1 child costs that much, 2 that much, then 6 that much. And when we had the money, we had a child. Nice and smart, the way it should be. Well, not really. It's not true. Our first son conceived on our honeymoon. You know, we had the foolish courage to throw ourselves on God's mercy. Of course, we knew it was a mad dash, but we also knew it was actually like bungee jumping, that we would be pulled back by the rubber bands attached to our feet. And we saw miracles. When we had no place to live, the apartment practically fell on our heads. A not too close acquaintance stepped in and gave us a loan, inexplicably bailing us out. Millions fell from the sky. It also happened that we didn't make it to the hospital, and we gave, my wife gave birth to a child on the asphalt of the street. We were standing on the street, my wife was in labor, and she asked for help. For what? I've delivered literal works, but I've never delivered the real birth. And she said, catch him. I held out my arm, and the baby's bottom was in my hands. I guess that's grace. God says, catch. And I only need to stand on the right place and catch whatever comes. Another baby of ours was born with talipes, and the doctor think he would never be able to stand on his feet. She was in surgery for 2.5 hours at the age of 7 months. She later played sports competitively and lives in a perfect, healthy life. The doctor himself watched in disbelief how skillfully he could operate, but someone held his hand. Yes, God has been with us for the last 30 years, and because we have not chased him away, in fact, we have welcomed him, he has come closer and closer. He has been sending us messages with grass, with license plates, with billboards, through the words of priests and civilians. He sends text messages from his 1,000-year-old book, or sends his word through SMSs. He walks with me in every step, breathes with me in my every breath. Just let's say in the motorway with a driving plate, moi, just the name of God. He is there in spiritual visions, in contemplative prayer, and even during the COVID, the flights to Israel were abolished, and with them our pilgrimage to the Holy Land, which we had so longed for. Yet, God took me to the home of the risen Lazarus while I was sitting at home in a prayer room. I could see Jesus and his disciples in the flesh. I could smell the smells, the pungent light, tasted the feast. I was there. You know, I work with my imagination every single day, so I know what's it like. But this was different, very different, infinitely more. It's not even like film shooting. It was reality that God invited me into. And he invites everyone else who is there and who is here every blessed day. Step inside. And I didn't experience all this because I'm his little pet. I mean, yes, I am a VIP person, but you're also VIP guests in God's adventure park. He has 7 billion little darlings, and he loves them, not as a crowd, but every one by one. Every single one with his backaches, his gripes, his joys, his griefs. Come on, that's impossible. There is no software with that capacity. Well, yes, it's hardly possible for a human, but if you try it, it works. If you want to talk to him, turn the pages of your memory book, and you'll find out how many times and in how many different ways he has contacted you, protecting us, watching over us, guiding us. We didn't always understand. We didn't always listen, at least I didn't. It's a miracle he kept me on the road. He would send a message by some other person, even someone who is downright rude. He remarkably often uses children as messengers. They have an even better antenna. And of course, whenever he can, he touches me with a word sweeter than spleen honey. The longer you keep at it, the more flavor comes out. But it's important that we seek him, enter the inner room, quiet ourselves, and use our organs suitable for sitting intensely, or our knees if they are still in good shape. That room has a door handle only inside. God is discreet. He waits. He doesn't intrude if I don't let him in. It's good to seek contact with him as a community. But it's really important to search for him individually, personally. I know he's longing for us, and we miss him very much too, even if we don't admit it to ourselves. I can only encourage everyone to go into that inner room, open that door, and tune into God. That's a whole different quality of life, a whole different quality of peace, and a whole different quality of hope is awaiting for us that we can ever imagine as human beings. God bless you.
Köszönjük szépen.
Thank you. It's amazing to see how this square is becoming crowded. Now we can see some 10,000 of people. Thank you for coming. According to musician and songwriter Gergő Boris, the world doesn't work by chance, and there are answers to everything in which God himself is revealed. In a recent interview, he talked about his constant experience of God's love. He noted, I quote, "Lately, I often feel that God gives more than I deserve, so I ask for his help to become someone worthy of his gifts. I follow my own path, trusting and believing in God, but always looking at myself from new angles and seeing that there is room for improvement. I want to be a better person."
According to musician and songwriter Gergő Boris, the world does not work by chance, and there are answers to everything in which God himself is revealed. In a recent interview, he talked about his constant experience of God's love. He noted, "Lately, I often feel that God gives me more than I deserve. So I ask for his help to become someone worthy of his gifts. I follow my own path, trusting and believing in God, but always looking at myself from new angles and seeing that there is room for improvement. I want to be a better person."
Hontalan éven a csend szava voltam, amíg te nem szóltál. Egy fénytelen elhagyott utcakövén megidéztél, és itt hagytál. Vártam rád, bár nem tudtam miért. Felsóhajtott hangom kérve kért. Szólj, ajkamon, és én mindenemet átnyújtom. Áldozz hát fel egy üres oltáron. Kiáltalak, add kezed, mielőtt elbuknék. Légy fényes jel, csak felé tarthatnék. Virrad a hajnal, és céltalan útra vezet. Megyek majd én, amíg elfogy az út, a lábam alól én jól lenézek a föld peremén. Téged hívlak, kérlek, hát beszélj! Visszhangokban szól hozzám a mély. Szólj, ajkamon, és én mindenemet átnyújtom. Áldozz hát fel egy üres oltáron. Kiáltalak, add kezed, mielőtt elbuknék. Légy fényes jel, csak felé tarthatnék. Tiéd vagyok, de amint tiéd a föld és ég. Most mondd hát el, én mihez kellek még.
Elképesztő,
Well, it's really fantastic to see, even as this video footage, as the Hero Square is being filled up and we can celebrate together. Thank you very much for being today together with us. And here comes video footage in which the participants are connected by a tune that's been together with us for 83 years. So this is a bridge in between past and present. Sing of victory.
in which the characters are linked by a tune that has been with us for 83 years. Generations have grown up singing it, Sing of Victory, a bridge between the past and present. Farkas Attila, érseki tanácsos ott volt.
Archbishop Councillor Attila Farkas attended the 1938 Eucharistic Congress, which will remain a lifelong memory. At the age of 9, he was able to take communion with tens of thousands of children and receive the body of Christ at the youth mass presented in the city park.
Farkas attended the Eucharistic Congress of 1938, which will remain a lifelong memory. At the age of 9, he was able to take the communion with tens of thousands of children and receive the body of Christ at the youth mass presented in the city park.
After 1938, the reworked Sing of a Victory became the anthem of the Congress once again in 2021. The new arrangement is the work of Oscar-nominated composer Péter Pejcsik. In the image film of the Congress, 3 young people, Bogi Nagy, Máté Cinke and Gergő Dániel, meet in the church to find their true calling before Jesus.
After 1938, the reworked Sing of Victory became the anthem of the Congress once again in 2021. The new arrangement is the work of Oscar-nominated composer Péter Pejcsik. In the image film of the Congress, 3 young people, Bogi Nagy, Máté Cinke, and Gergő Dániel meet in the church to find their true calling before Jesus.
Győzelemről énekeljen napkelet és napnyugat. Millió szív összecsengjen, magasztalja az Urat. 1938-ban cérna hangon énekelgettük ez a gyönyörűséget.
In 1938, we were singing this song, So Christ in the bread. And, you know, I had my first communion, and that was the first time when I could experience what it's like meeting Christ for the first time. So with this hymn, we can indeed see the meaning. And, you know, this hymn connects us with 1938. We sing exactly like back in 1938. So we celebrate meeting with Jesus Christ, the experience thereof. I'm really overjoyed that I can also sing this hymn as an old person. Back in the past, I was singing as a little child, and now I'm singing with my old mouth, as a priest, and I do believe that Christ, through the Eucharist, leads us to eternal life, where Jesus is going to be the King and the eternal Master.
Mátét és Dániel
Let me welcome Bogi Nagy, Máté Cinke and Gergő Dániel on stage. They didn't only have the opportunity to sing the anthem of the Congress, but they could also participate in the shooting of a video footage. That's what we're going to speak about. Let's start with you, Bogi. For your generation and for you personally, how important it is to that you could be herald of such a Congress. Well, I can only respond from a personal point of view. It's a great honor for me, not only that I can stand on the stage, but also to be part of this huge project. It's very difficult for me to understand it, indeed. You know, I have my faith deep inside. However, I think it's fantastic to be here. Whom have you waved? Or, well, my love is in the first row, so I was waving for him. Let's wave for him once more. And boys, what about you? So to the same question, what would you respond? Well, you know, it's a great honor because, you know, we are at the front lines, and as you could see the time-lapse video, how this entire stage was built, constructed, how many people there are working in this project, including the volunteers and every single people. And we are here singing the anthem, and we are an important part of this entire project. It's a great honor, really. Gergő? Well, to be together and to walk away that we wanted to start at a young age. I mean, trying to find God. I mean, so I think it's really important for entire Hungary, for the entire country. This is something we can be really proud of, and we are extremely grateful and overjoyed. Well, as far as I know, you are from eastern part of Hungary, Miskolc, Balmazújváros, Debrecen. Am I right? Yeah? Yeah, Miskolc, Balmazújváros, Debrecen. Okay, so from the eastern part of Hungary. So how did how have you met with Jesus? You know, we managed to get involved into the story of the Eucharistic Congress with the help of Ákos Kovács. We do know each other with the boys because with Máté, we attended the same secondary school, and we entered the same program with Gergő. And Ákos contacted us on the phone, asking us to represent, to be the face of this program. You know, I was in Croatia having a holiday when he sent me an SMS. I didn't know, is he Ákos Kovács, the singer? Am I right? And, you know, I was really shocked. I mean, does he know who I am? And then what happened? You know, you were just sunbathing in the seashore. Yeah, well, he invited us to his studio. Yeah, so you called him back. Of course, I called him back. Yeah, I really wanted to know what his SMS was about. And then he said, yeah, that he was Ákos Kovács, and you know the line was broken. But then he called me back, and we were invited to a discussion to his studio, what the story was about, how important it is. And, you know, we were sitting there for 3 hours speaking about faith and what the Eucharistic Congress means and why it's that important for Hungary, that it's the second time that it has been organized in Hungary. And Gergő, you were referring to faith and searching for a faith. Did you grow up in a religious family? Yes, indeed. When my grandmother passed away, you know, she's been watching us from above. You know, that was a point in my life when I started to believe that indeed my grandmother is together with us and all her love remains with us. And, you know, that was a really important mutual point with faith in my life. You know, we might have question marks, but it's fantastic that our beloved ones are taking care of us from above, from the heavens. And, you know, when I was very small, I was not a real believer. I mean, I wanted to believe in order to avoid the hell. But then I started to believe for my own sake. I started to search for God, and I also started to put it into the lyrics that I write. And, you know, it's very difficult, but I think we always need to search. Máté, what about your story? Well, it's pretty similar. My grandma is a Catholic person, and she was the starting point in my family. Then my parents also raised me as a believer, and similar to Gerge, of course, as a child, it's very difficult to reach a level when you indeed understand what is behind. And I also had a period when faith was not that important in my life in my teens, but then I managed to find God in my life, and I called Jesus my Savior, and it's a great honor for me that I can be His son. And yeah, this is indeed good news. Let's speak a bit about the image video. There is a shot when you're laughed at by the fellow members of your band. Many can know you from Miskolc, and they make fun out of you because you're wearing a cross. Is it a real problem among the younger generation? Well, yes, indeed. Communism and socialism took place for a long time here in Hungary as well, and it was not allowed to be faithful. And this was the age of our parents, so this was indeed a very important problem. And this is something that we can see in this image video footage. And then I leave my band members, and then an incident happened in this video footage, that I was almost hit by a lorry, and then I touched the cross in my neck that was given to me by my grandfather, and then I could feel that I've received some help from above. And what about you? Well, in the image movie, so I have personal relations, because I had a similar story with my grandmother when she passed away. In this image movie, I appear as a nurse, as a young nurse, and there's an elderly ill person with whom I have a discussion in the hospital. However, when I returned to the hospital to have a chat with her, I couldn't find her, and then I felt the vocation to go to the church, to the basilica. I had a similar experience back in my childhood with my grandmother. I can feel the faith from early childhood. So this is my personal connection with the image movie. Were you, besides the deathbed of your grandmother? No, unfortunately not. I was only informed afterwards. But surely faith really helps in processing such memories, of course. And Gergő, you in this movie appear during confession. This is a very special moment in life. Yes. Usually we turn to God whenever we have problems. If you're overjoyed, you do not really turn to God. And this is exactly what I try to be conscious about. Even in happy, merry moments, you really need to turn to God and praise Him. When Ákos told me that I'm going to appear as a priest in the movie, then I was not sure whether I'm suitable enough to appear as a priest in this video footage, a priest in confession. And we talked it over and over again with Ákos, how and what I should do in order to be prepared for playing this role. And, I'm really glad for being part of the International Eucharistic Congress. Bogi, I could see in the image movie, or while listening to or watching the image movie, you were singing. Do you sing this song often during the day? Well, I think my entire day can be connected to some kind of music. It was fantastic standing and on the stage. I had the feeling that I really wanted to sing, and during the day I sing very often. And did you have to prepare yourself spiritually in order to sing the song or the video footage? Yes, as mentioned before, there are so many people working behind us, and we are in the front lines, and it's not easy at all. And even the topic, we are speaking about themes and topics which are not from the human dimension. and it makes it even more difficult. And there are so many people listening to us, and we are interpreted to various languages, and this is again something that makes my task even more difficult. Gergi, what about you? We have to live the moment. This is what I usually say. It's very difficult to be prepared, but you can be prepared if you believe in what you're working on, what you're doing. And there are so many different types of faith or belief, faith in each other, in God, and everything depends on love. If you love what you're doing, if you live the moment, and if you don't want to be prepared, but if you are there in the moment, then you will be prepared. We heard how Bogi started her, work relationship with Akos. What about you? So when did you first meet Akos? Well, back in 2019. So not in Croatia, no. He really liked our song that we played at the television competition entitled The Song. And then he contacted us, and he spoke about his experience. But he didn't only congratulate us on our song, but then he also started to speak about this entire project. So what I would think about the International Eucharistic Congress, I had to look it up, and then we had this discussion that also Bogi referred to that lasted for 3 hours. We discussed it in every single detail. We knew each other, but Akos contacted us one by one, and only afterwards did we receive the information that the three of us, are going to be part of this project. And we met there and said, "Wow, yeah, you refer to this hours-long discussion. Have you recognized anything in connection with yourselves during this discussion that you didn't know about yourself or about your faith?" Well, my personal story is that was a time when I started to feel that this Eucharistic Congress is going to represent a new start for me, because I have to step in front of an audience and really indeed open up. And what about you boys? Gergi? Well, I think I need to learn to read a lot. It's going to be, a matter of time, years, and I have to become even more familiar with the Bible. So this is exactly what I learned from Akos. He mentioned so many things I haven't heard about before, and it was fantastic feeling to listen to all that information. So he just launched. He took us on a new path. Which means that we really need to search for deeper historical things. Bogi, you said that you have a personal relationship with the video footage, but did you have your say about the story itself, Matti? Well, Akos really gave us the freedom. So he said that whenever we have any command or any ideas in connection with the video footage, this image movie, then we can have our say, and we could discuss what and how would happen in this image movie. So we were given the freedom. So our roles will suit us, and we can indeed fill our roles. Akos directed it in a fantastic manner. We had our say. We could really form our characters. Of course, the stories had already been written, but there were certain moments when I said, "Okay, please stop for a moment. Can we have a chat about it?" For example, when the lady passed away in the image movie, I had to take some rest. And Akos told that maybe some artificial tears should be taken in my eyes, and I said, "No, I don't need artificial tears, but I need some moments to just be involved, be there in the moment." And Gergo, was Akos sort of a mentor for you? Yeah, exactly. Indeed. I'm really familiar with the lyrics of Akos, and very often I didn't think them over, and well, so now I've reached a level that I really read these lyrics thoroughly, and I can indeed understand the deeper meaning thereof. So and I can really see that you can write lyrics, I mean rock or pop lyrics, which are filled with faith. So for me, it was really fantastic. So who said that Jesus is the best rock and roll composer? Mate or Gergő? The best rock and roll composer, Jesus. Some of you mentioned this in an interview. Jesus is the best rock and roll composer. Yeah, it was me. It was me. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, we played pop rock music. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, yeah. That's a quote from me. Could you speak a bit about your experiences? Which was the most definitive, maybe in connection with the locations, because you visited fantastic locations during the shooting? Well, I was in the Basilica, the St. Stephen Basilica. It was around 11 or 12 p.m., so late at night. And you know, it was very difficult to comprehend even. And beforehand, I told Ákos that maybe I was not really suitable for doing so. And then I spent an hour or 90 minutes in priest's clothing in the basilica. It was some strange and fantastic feeling. It was like something filling me. I cannot really tell you, I cannot find the right words, but that was my most definitive, my most beautiful moment. Boogie? Well, I had several similar stories. Of course, the Basilica represented one of the most fantastic moments, you know, in the midst of the night without any tourists. In the studio of Ákos, when we recorded the song, that was also a fantastic moment. And, you know, recently when we visited Esztergom, the flash mob recording, and we sang this hymn, the three of us, in the car, and, you know, it was a fantastic atmosphere. You know, I can also feel the shakes. And Mate, what about you? Was it what kind of venue it was? Very recorded. Well, with a band, I do not know, but you know, the singing part was recorded in the studio of Ákos, and let me join that, you know, at the of Esztergom. So that was, you know, the moment when there were 2,000 students and we could sing this hymn together with them. So that was a real community feeling, real community experience. That's going to be true for this entire week. And you know, when I first heard the accompanying orchestra, I mean, there's something behind the imagination. Thank you very much, Boogie, Mate, Gergő, for being here together with us. Let's wave to your love once more. Thank you very much for being together with us. And now we are going to continue.
Hölgyeim és uraim, hármas ünnep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for a triple celebration here in Hero Square. Welcome to the opening ceremony and Mass of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress. Why are we talking about a triple celebration? The Congress, which will be held in Hungary again after 83 years, begins. At the Mass, some 1,200 young people will receive the Eucharist for the first time. It's also the Veni Sancte, i.e. the opening Mass of the Catholic school year, an opportunity for many of us to pray for the young people.
Preparing for a triple celebration here in Hero Square. Welcome to the opening ceremony and Mass of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress. Why are we talking about a triple celebration? The Congress, which will be held in Hungary again after 83 years, begins. At the Mass, some 1,200 young people will receive the Eucharist for the first time. It is also the Veni Sancte, that is, opening Mass of the Catholic school year, an opportunity for many of us to pray for young people.
We have arrived at the official opening of the Congress. Hungary, the land of Mary. In this program, which presents the Hungarian and Christian traditions of the Carpathian Basin, the inhabitants of each region, while wearing different costumes, unite to them, are part of our traditional culture. Our dances, folk songs, and folk music bear witness to the common spirituality and unmistakable habitus of the Hungarian people. And this is how we can indeed feel the love connecting Hungarians.
Elérkeztünk a kongresszus hivatalos megnyitójához. Magyarország, Mária országa. A Kárpát-medence keresztény néphagyományait bemutató műsorban a magyarság, néphagyomány és a keresztény vallás különleges viszonyát, gyökereit mutatja be. Mindezek különleges egymásra hatása adja annak az összetett és gazdag keresztény kultúrának az alapját, amely meghatározza az 1000 éves történelmünket. Keresztény vallásunk mellett táncainkban, dalainkban, zenénkben és saját évezetes kultúránkban éljük meg leginkább a közösségtartozás csodáját és a szeretetet, amely összeköt minket egybe Magyarországon. The opening program will feature performances by nearly 300 folk dancers and traditional dancers, the Murahai Elemér Folk Ensemble, the Bagi, the Kalocsa Traditional Dance Ensemble, the Palos Traditional Dancers, the Bokréta Traditional Dance Ensemble, the Adult and Children's Group of Budapest Bartók Dance Ensemble, Children of Desk and Szeged, the Tiszavirág Folk Dance Ensemble, the Children's Group of János Bihari Dance Ensemble, and the Hungarian National Dance Ensemble. Performing soloists Mária Petrás, choreographers Zoltán Zsurávszky and Zsuzsa Zsévince, director Csaba Kál.
The opening program will feature performances by nearly 300 folk dancers and traditional dancers. The Tiszavirág Folk Dance Ensemble, the Muharai Elemér Folk Ensemble of Bagi, the Kalocsa Traditional Dance Ensemble, the Palóc Traditional Dancers, the Bokréta Traditional Dance Ensemble, the Adult and Children's Group of the Budapest Bartók Dance Ensemble, the Children's Group of the János Bihari Dance Ensemble, and the Hungarian National Dance Ensemble. Performing soloists Mária Petrás, choreographers Zoltán Zsurávszky and Zsuzsa Zsévince, director Csaba Kál.
Igazi magyaros program volt, köszönjük szépen minden fellépőnek, egy kicsit mi is táncoltunk. És közben megtelt a Hősök tere, és megtelt az András.
Let me tell you some practical information. Thousands of volunteers will be on duty during the Congress. Look for our volunteers in all sectors. You will recognize them by either their uniforms.
Thousands of volunteers will be on duty during the Congress. Look for our volunteers in all sectors. You will recognize them by their uniforms. Minden szektor közelében találnak mosdót a mellékutcában.
There are toilet facilities in the side streets near each sector. Please follow the posted signs. First aid is available in all sectors in case of difficulties. These points will also be signposted. The program will be interpreted into 6 languages: Hungarian, English, German, Italian, French, and Spanish, and they will be available on the radio application on your mobile phone.
In the side street near each sector, please follow the posted signs. First aid is available in all sectors in case of difficulties. These points will also be signposted. The program will be translated into 6 languages: Hungarian, English, German, Italian, French, and Spanish, and will be available on the radio app on your mobile phone.
The first Mass of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress will begin shortly. We have dressed up in our formal attire. We have come a long way to be here. We have waited a long time to meet each other and Jesus. Let us wrap our souls in celebration as well.
The first Mass of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress will begin shortly. We have dressed up in our formal attire. We have come a long way to be here. We have waited a long time to meet each other and Jesus. Let us wrap our souls in celebration. Ebben pedig segít nekünk a kongresszus nyitószentmiséjén a zenei szolgálatot teljesítő közel 800 fős kórus.
The choir and orchestra, almost 1,000 people who will be involved in the musical service of opening mass and congress will help us in this. The Kodai Zoltán Hungarian Choir School, the Choir School of Cathedral of Vác, and the St. András School of Singing, Pannonia Sacra Catholic School, St. András School in St. Endre, Catholic School of Paul the Apostle, Cistercian Girls Choir, the children of the Don Bosco Choir of the University Church, and the Starlight Children's Choir of Szolnok. The orchestra, the Leo Weiner Catholic School of Music and Music Secondary School. Péter Sirák plays organ. Artistic Director, Ferenc Sapszon, Kossuth Liszt, and Hungarian Heritage Prize-winning conductor. Conductors, Ferenc Sapszon, Borbála Sapszon, Gabriella Semjénné Menus, Andrea Blazsek, and Gergely Ménesi. Please give them a warm welcome.
The choir and orchestra of almost 1,000 people who will be involved in the musical service at the opening mass of the Congress will help us in this. The Kodai Zoltán Hungarian Choir School, the Choir School of the Cathedral of Vác, and the St. Angela School of Singing, Pannonia Sacra, St. András School in Esztergom, Catholic School of Paul the Apostle, Cistercian Girls of Choir, the children of the Don Bosco Choir of the University Church, and the Starlight Children's Choir of Szolnok. Orchestra, the Leo Weiner Catholic School of Music and Music Secondary School. Conductors, Ferenc Sapszon, Borbála Sapszon, Gabriella Semjénné Menus, Andrea Blazsek, and Gergely Ménesi. Please give them a warm welcome.
Szeretettel köszöntök mindenkit az 52. nem
Warm welcome, everybody, at the opening Holy Mass of the 52nd International Eucharistic Congress with the eminences, cardinals, excellencies, archbishops, bishops, with brothers and sisters. Welcome the pedagogues and pupils who came here to the Venice Sancte of the Catholic schools, all dear brothers and sisters who came here to take part together at the opening Holy Mass of the International Eucharistic Congress to celebrate the Christ living together with us. The high celebrator of the Holy Mass is Angelo Bagnasco, Cardinal, who is the in his preaching, he made a parallel metaphor with his childhood. When I was a little boy, when I was waiting for the dinner, I was playing in the street between destroyed ruins of the war. My mother opened the door and called me on my name, and because she was afraid I would be lost in the stairs case. I followed her until the 4th floor, where my mother took me took my hands and took me home. This is the open arms of God will lead us, and let us lead. Let us be led by the open arm of God, and that we can encounter Him in the Holy Eucharist.